Hello, everybody. This is Terry Candlestick, and welcome to October. For the first video of October in the car, I wanted to include something Echo-related. So I thought, what better than the most terrifying character in Echo, that being the bear, Brian Dubois. But this is the worst of Brian that we have in Echo so far. Enjoy. Or be terrified. Either's good.
Brian stands up from his seat and disappears into one of the back bedrooms. He calls back to us. Something to pass the time with? Was saving this for Clint, but he's been keeping scarce lately. He comes back with what looks like a step stool, a medical satchel, and a whip? Upon closer inspection, it's not a whip, but a noose with little bits of metal embedded around the edges. Razor blades. A noose with fucking razor blades. What the fuck? Brian gets to work tying it up to a conspicuous hook on the kitchen ceiling. He's incredibly quick with tying the knot, like he's done this 1,000 times before. I can feel my heart pounding in my ears, each blade on the noose glinting with what little light there is in the trailer. I try to crane my neck to look at Jenna, but I'm still having trouble seeing her. Brian smiles down at Micah, bending down and taking the bat's cuffs off just as quickly. What the fuck are you doing? Shut up, it'll be okay. Be calm, don't struggle. Brian's voice reminds me of children's show presenters, with a squeaky, reassuring cadence. The context of his words makes it deeply unsettling, and I struggle against my collar restraint whenever he's turned away. I have to get out of here. Brian sits down the stool squarely beneath where the noose is hanging. Step up onto the stool. You're short enough so this will actually work. You're fucking crazy! Micah reels back away from him, but Brian grabs him by the hand. He starts bending it inward, and the bat squeals in pain. Okay, you either do what I say, or I'm gonna start breaking every joint in your body, alright? Micah continues to shriek, finally retching free after nodding. Okay! Put your head through the noose. I can see the turmoil in Micah's face, 1,000 fight or flight responses running through his head. The inside of the noose doesn't got any blades, just the outside, so you can't be grabbing it. Micah stares through the hole in front of him. Do it! He's about to grab for the bat's hand again, but Micah shoves his head through just in time after stepping up on the stool. I'm in! Good. The bear reaches up and tightens the noose more firmly around the bat's neck, looking proud of himself as he does so. He's cinching it hard until it's clear the bat is struggling to breathe. With a smile, he reaches down and tugs off one of the legs of the little step stool. Brian chuckles to himself as the bat teeters, Micah nearly kicking the stool away. He just barely manages to keep himself upright, with the tip of his toes catching the edge. His cheeks flare as more of his weight is having to be held aloft by his neck, the strain causing his neck veins to bulge. He gasps like a fish for breath, swaying his hips from one side to another to get a more solid standing position. I can see him resisting the urge to grab the noose, an act that would surely strip his fingers to the bone. Brian, meanwhile, chuckles to himself, tickled deeply by the display. There you go. Brian has turned away from me now, but even from this angle, it's clear he's rubbing himself through his sweatpants. I'm petrified, wanting to scream out to make him stop, but not daring to make a sound. This is what Duke was warning Brian not to do, and he did it anyway. I closed my eyes, praying to see that weasel again, to put a stop to all this. Hey, don't think I forgot about you all. When I opened my eyes again, he's looking directly at me. Well, you two, at least. I mean, given a chance of a bunch of guys and one girl, what kind of queer would pick the girlie? He says the word queer with distaste, the bear beginning to reach into his little satchel. He looks at Jenna as he pulls out what looks like a long spool of string. The others tell me you were a bit of a bitch anyway. At least, that's what your brother said. I keep expecting Jenna to start speaking, talking him down, full psychoanalysis mode, like all those thriller movies. But right now, she is completely silent. Leo stirs slightly beside me, mumbling something incoherent. Brian has scissors now, his knees down in front of us. I begin to feel faint as he points the edge of them toward me with a smile. Instead of cutting me, he begins snipping along the side of my shorts and underwear, cutting up to the waistband. What are you doing? Micah teeters in the kitchen, letting out a blubbering, choking sound as he struggles for breath. Saw you a few weeks ago. You had no eyes. Heard you talking to the empty rail yard. Saying that you two need to stay close. Thinking I should oblige that request. What? The eyeless chase? The thing we saw earlier? Leo stirs some as I shout, shifting slightly as Brian does the same thing to his pant leg. Don't worry. I won't get your bits out. He reaches in to his little medical bag and pulls out a suturing needle. I think you're supposed to shave the fur before you start doing this, but oh well. No, please, you don't need to do this. That thing you saw, it wasn't me. I've seen it too. Brian blinks, canting his head slightly. Well, I figured that much. That he wasn't real. But you still have your eyes for now. And that goatee. He's pushing her legs together now, and my heart feels like it's in my throat, my vision starting to blur. Don't squirm now, or it turns to joint breaking time. And I can always stitch other things together. Oh no. Oh God. No. The needle hits me first, and at my mid-thigh. I cry out, squeezing my fists against my chest. I want to deck and punch him, do anything to make him stop. I yell so loud I slobber onto the front of my shirt, tears once again welling in my eyes. I can feel the metal pierce through my skin, far too deep as it tears through muscle and tugs it back out again. Leo begins to writhe slightly as it goes through his leg, though he doesn't wake. That's one. Stop! I start to feel faint as blood pools from the new holes in my thigh, though the needle re-entering promptly wakes me back up. Fuck! Two. Stop! Jenna speaks from the corner of the room, her voice unlike I've ever heard her before. Quiet. So much that I don't know if Brian even heard her. 3? Micah gasps, wobbling erratically as blood drips from his left hand. He must have gripped the rope for a second and cut himself. Don't fall, kid. Brian calls to Micah before looking back. He has a lurid gaze as he stares directly into my eyes, pushing the needle in again. So deep I'm sure it scrapes the bone, and it's like my whole body has been lit on fire. Snot dribbles down my nose. I can't fucking take it anymore. Brian keeps counting. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Leo's writhing has gotten more intense, and each tug of his leg spreads the puncture wounds more. I can't take it. Something begins to move in the corner of the room, in the closet behind the bedroom. I can't tell if it's just my blurry vision or whether the door is actually opening. In the kitchen, the stool tips over and Micah is suddenly dangling freely. Oh, God! More choked gurgles escape the increasingly red-faced bat. His arms begin to flail, wildly at first, and then in a more coordinated rhythm. It takes me a moment to realize he's batting his wings. He flaps as hard as he can, and finally, it looks like he manages to get a gulp of air. His hovering is erratic, never enough to keep him completely suspended. Brian peers over his shoulder, eyebrows raised slightly. Help him! Brian ignores her. Would you look at that? He can fly. The exertion is clearly taxing Micah, and he's still having trouble breathing. His face continues to turn an unnatural hue. He can't keep this up. Help him! At the corner of my eye, the closet door shifts open further. There's something inside. Someone. There's a reddish-white color, half cloaked in shadow. Eyes wide, mouth open. It moves like there's a strobe light behind it. Its motions choppy and unnatural. It's like it's not moving at all, but rather a series of images projected in front of my eyes, changing every second. And each second, it gets closer. It looks to be as tall as Brian, and possibly slender, with arms and legs that looked warped and burnt. It has no eyes, no mouth, just holes. Next thing I know, it's in the kitchen, and Micah just drops. The bat hits the floor with a heavy thud, the cut noose still around his neck. Brian sees it now, too. He reels back just as it begins to approach him. They're real! Is all he can say before the bear is yanked about with immense violent force, his body bending like a flicked rubber band. The contents of his pockets, one of the pant pockets, and a small chunk of flesh smack against the kitchen wall. The rest of him goes flying out the window, along with the figure.